Hi, everybody. This is Carson Grubaugh, and today, as always, for Formalism Friday, I am joined by the great Grandin, Grandin Bram, Brandon Grant.
It's all Grumpy Bear today.
Yeah, it's Grumpy Bear. And because Brandon is in his costume, we've scared away Sean, so Sean won't be with us today. He's got family stuff to
Yeah,
do.
family stuff. He's like, dudes, I'm not a furry. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Well, can't blame him. So, Grandin, why are we wearing your bear costume today?
Why not? Why so judgy? Now, today we are going to talk about Care Bears, and it's recently had Halloween here, and I have a ridiculous Grumpy Bear costume. I don't know if you can see the cloud of despair, and then because I'm a weirdo, I also have found a Grumpy Bear toy here.
And you're quite a fan, it seems like, because we even found, this isn't the greatest image of it, but you've contributed some Care Bears art. Yeah.
Yeah, weirdly to think about, I was really into it when I was a kid, and kind of one of those things I've always gone back to as kind of like a comfort cartoon. This is sounding like an intervention now, but yeah.
with your suit and your toy and your
like, I'm fine with it. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, I ended up not even wearing this on Halloween because I showed up there. So I was going to a cool Vegas party, and beforehand I went with a bunch of girls that were all in like, sexy demon and sexy angel costumes. I showed up in this, and they're like, no, you're gonna wear a leather jacket and pretend to be cool.
Like, no, man, I'm
the
ready
first
to
time
yiff.
I've ever actually had a reason to wear this.
Well, I'm glad we gave you a reason. So let's take a look at this, because this reason, you've mentioned it a couple times, so I'm glad we're finally looking at it. A panel out of Care Bears that you really like.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that I brought this up so many times is I'm so amazed that one of the cool formalism tricks was in a comic that you'd expect the creators on it just to be like checked out and not doing interesting work.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about the panel before this. Was the I don't know in that panel as well?
I think so, yeah. So basically my understanding of the sequence is that they mistake a actual balloon for a word balloon.
Okay. I'm just curious if that word balloon existed prior, or if you're kind of just supposed to make and they obviously mention it. You mixed up your word balloon with your Care Bear balloon.
Yeah, so I think a character comes out with a bundle of balloons is the way it goes.
Oh, but you know what else is supposed to be going on is this sunshine is supposed to be on here, huh? And the words are supposed to be in there.
Yeah. So he's basically speaking the actual balloon. Oh, and they're each holding the balloon of their signature thing.
Their tummy. Yeah. Okay. So they can't get to sleep. Funshine Bear, what can we do to help? I don't know. Okay, that is fun. I had missed that when we first pulled this up. I'm not familiar enough with Care Bears. I was like a Gummy Bears. That's what I remember. I didn't have a TV much growing up.
Actually better. It had like a lore and everything. The thing about Care Bears, to get into the lore of it, is they have a giant caring meter, and it goes down. There'll be like a kid in New Jersey who's like, I got bullied in school, and this caring meter that's supposed to engage with the entirety of the planet Earth will be like, dong. And I'm like, what about the horrible things that are going on in the world?
So speaking of the caring meter.
Oh yes.
You also you've made your own.
This was years ago, and I used to do kind of a regular blog. I still do, but now it's a Patreon blog. But I did a lot of Photoshop stuff. And so this is the caring meter, a really blurry, bad JPEG of it in the middle there. And this is to show, I think the Kick-Ass movie came out and I was just being a dick. And so this is to show, so we'll start from the things I'm most excited about. There's just this nuclear explosion of the word yes, followed by a drawing of the dirty pair dressed as Ninja Turtles, which for some reason I was into at the time.
Are you into the nuclear explosion, or you're just into yes with that much power?
I think it was just too much to even categorize what it was at that point. I'm not really into I'm into the destruction of life on Earth.
Okay, that's why I was wondering if it was like an atomic yes, like yes to life, or if you're like, no, just wash it all away.
Yeah, just let's wipe out life. Yeah, so there's a Mobius Star Watcher drawing, and Karis won the rapper with Tribe Called Quest, and then the anime Dengayo, and then the weird Robotech comic with Salt and Pepper, and I think Manimal is like,
What's this one here?
oh, that is a Tribe Called Quest album.
Okay. And then Robotech, Salt and Pepper.
Oh yeah.
What is Manimal?
I think Manimal's almost true neutral of things. Actually, I enjoy Designing Women. Okay, Manimal was like a weird early 80s TV show about a guy that had the powers of all these different animals.
Okay. I had a character that I came up with when I was like 10 that was named Roadkill. And any dead animal, if he touched it, he would get their animal power.
That's a good power still.
Yeah. And then Designing Women, I don't know what that is. Cardboard?
Like a sassy Southern, yeah, this is cardboard.
Okay.
Which, with the more I look at this, the more I find value in everything, because I'm like, cardboard can be pretty useful and good.
Oh, I love cardboard. We just, after shipping all those books, I mean, I hate it, but God bless it.
Yeah, so we'll say the line of dislike actually starts with Bed Bath & Beyond.
Okay. And you really hate scrubbing your toilet.
It's just boredom at this point.
Okay. And then just down into contempt.
I think it was in contempt. And because a lot of this, we want to talk about this because we want to defend the Kick-Ass movie, which I've never actually seen, which,
yeah.
But I think a lot of this just came from a lot of people were recommending the Kick-Ass comic, and I was really like, I think the Kick-Ass comic has a thing in the early issues where it has graffiti writers as these kind of villains, and I remember kind of being annoyed at that.
Oh, like the kid in his pajamas being a superhero is going out and stopping vandalism.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, I feel like Mark Miller's books, they're always all right as comics, but I have loved every movie that has come out based on his comics.
I do like the Kingsman movie. His comics are interesting too, because he works with such talented people that sometimes they hit. And he's not a horrible writer. He's just, oftentimes it's very like blockbuster, like
it's movie pitch comics, and he does it great. And every time they've been turned into a movie, like Kingsman, that fight scene in Kingsman is awesome. Both the Kick-Ass movies are good. Like anytime Mark Miller stuff's turned into a movie. And you should watch that first Kick-Ass. If you like Kingsman, same vibe. I think it's the same director, same cool scenes. But my defense of the movie was going to be, there's a scene, the big final fight scene is like in the villain's, office in his penthouse or whatever. And they have all this like legit art. So whoever made the movie like really knows their fine arts. And they had like cool ass pieces of fine art, including, and I don't know how many people that watched the movie know it. So since I knew Brandon we were talking about that beforehand, I saw this would be perfect. There's this piece by Mark Quinn, which is his Bloodhead. And what this is he had his own blood drawn, and enough to then pour into a mold of his own face and then have it frozen.
That's a lot of. Do you think there's room in the middle, like he just blood on the outside, or did he give up like a 2
No, he makes one like every 5 years, so he just
got too much blood, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, but imagine you get your blood drawn over, every now and then over 5 years, so you can see these. He's done a number of these. I think it's solid blood. And in the movie, this is like right in the it's like on a pedestal in that little vitrine right in the middle of the like foyer to the bad guy's office, and the kid hides behind it.
Oh.
And then they come in and they shoot through the Bloodhead.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Have you seen the movie The Cell?
Yeah, that movie's fucked up with Vincent D'Onofrio and J-Lo.
Yeah, directed by Carson, I think his name is, the guy who did The Fall. And it actually, if anyone wants to dig him up, there's a series of Levi's commercials that he did that I really love, that have, weirdly enough, Lenny Kravitz shows up in one of them. But it's just these beautiful, his cinematography and whoever he works with is fantastic. But it made me think of that because The Cell has got a bunch of, I think it got criticized because it has a bunch of fine art stuff that they turn into weird things that you run into a serial killer's head.
Oh, I didn't know that one had fine art stuff in there. I'll have to rewatch it.
Do you remember the horse that splits apart?
it's been a long time. That movie's weird as hell, but really beautiful.
Yeah, like so there's a scene where they go inside the serial killer's brain. They inception into his brain before inception existed. And there's just a horse hanging out of there, like a live horse, and there's like a ticking clock that ticks down. And when it hits the dinger, just these glass sheets come down and cut the horse into segments, and then it moves it apart, and it's still
Oh
alive and
yeah.
has its heart beating and everything, and you can see it.
Yeah, I
Yeah, so
do
apparently that's
remember
based
that.
off a fine art thing.
Oh, that makes sense. That's kind of sounds like a Damien Hirst. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch that movie. If you haven't seen that movie, that movie's like dark and weird, but really beautiful.
Have you seen the movie The Fall?
No, I don't think so.
That one's really, so it's by the same director, and he does a really interesting thing in it where, and this goes into formalism, so it's not just us talking about movies now. Um, he goes into, he does this thing where it's a character around, there's a character who's telling a story to a little girl, and in the story he's talking about like a Native American Indian character, and he'll always talk about the Indian and his like squaw, and the little girl is in India, so she only knows like Indians,
Mm.
Bangladesh or whatever. And so she imagines this Native American character as someone from India, but all the words are talking about kind of cowboy and Indian level stuff. So those are
Oh, because they're telling her, oh, they're Indian.
yeah,
And so she's imagining I'm from India. I know Indian people. Huh.
exactly.
No, I don't think I've seen that one. I didn't know that guy made any other work. That movie's a really bizarre movie.
Yeah, it's really good. There's a great sequence in it where they actually they have a close up of a character's face, and it transitions into looking down on a landscape, and they actually made the landscape look like this character's face before they
That
like kind of.
makes sense because the I'm forgetting the name of it now. We're just talking about, but the one you're talking about with J Lo in it, that one, the Cell, that one has like, yeah, it's like Salvador Dali gone dark. It's a very weird, surreal movie. So that same type of surrealist trick of like morphing bodies in the landscapes, that makes sense
Yeah,
to me.
I just finished watching that the Netflix version of the Lock and Key, the adaptation of the Lock and Key comic book.
What's a couple of those? Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it, but there's one of the major parts in it is they have a key where they can go inside of people's heads, kind of in a
Yeah.
very stealth thing, and it makes you think a lot because everyone's head is kind of a representation of their personality. So there's like a
I
teenage girl, and they go in her head, and it's like a mall.
I was
Um,
really, that was the thing that I really wanted to see in the show, because in the comic they literally just pull the head off
yeah,
and you look down in and you can see all the stuff. And so I like watched that show specifically to see, did they do that key and how did they do it? Because I
mhm.
was hoping they'd have the head pop off and you could go rummage around. But the way they do it, where you go like it's kind of into a door or something, right? And you
Yeah, you
go
put a
like,
key in your head, and then you're standing next to your body, like there's like a ghost version of you almost, and then a door appears, which is like your childhood front door or something.
yeah, they did it really good, different, but also really good in that show.
Yeah, it's a good
Uh,
argument for what works better in comics versus film, because in comics, I think it works really well to just like because they can like show inside the head, and people can change size and go inside and everything.
yeah, and you have the shots from inside the head with the big characters outside, like looming over and reaching in and plucking stuff out that would have
Yeah,
looked cheesier on TV.
that's an
I think
interesting
that was
story.
smart.
There's also an audiobook version of it, so it's like the same story that you can see in all these different editions in
Of
different.
Lock and Key?
What's that?
Of Lock and Key there is?
Yeah,
Huh, that would be weird. I can't imagine that.
I
Because
think it works in all different versions. I wonder what story. There's probably some classic stories that have been adapted in a million different mediums. Because I remember there's things like Moby Dick. I've read two different comic adaptations of it, but never read the actual book. I think Will
yeah,
Eisner did one and
Eisner and Sienkiewicz.
Sienkiewicz, yeah.
Yeah, I would never read the original. I couldn't even read the comics adaptions. I just flipped through for the Sienkiewicz art. The
I
Eisner
was
one's
told
readable, I guess.
on that John Arcudi, who wrote who's writing Two Moons Now and did a great run of BPRD. He's obsessed with that with Herman Melville, so it's made me much more interested. I went and read the short story he did, Bartleby the Scrivener. Are you familiar with that one at all?
Sean's really into that one. It's too bad that he got scared away by your furry suit.
It was a secret plan we're gonna get Sean out of here with the Care Bear suit, and then we talk about Bartleby the Scrivener without his interjections. That's one of those things that after I read it, I just bring it up constantly, because the whole point of it's just a guy that wants to do nothing. And every time they're just like, hey, can you do some work? He's like, I would prefer not to. And it's like, how far can you push that until the character is just like, I don't want to eat anymore, and he just dies.
Maybe it was you that brought it up then. Not Sean. It might have been you. I don't know. I think Sean knew what you were talking about, and I didn't, though.
I should have scared myself away from this with my own Care Bear suit, which got
It's all good. I'm losing the ability to speak too. I can't pronounce anything today, so we'll go ahead and call this one a done. We're as usual way off track, which is awesome.
Best episode ever.
I'm gonna have to go watch The Cell again now. What was the other one called? The Fall?
The Fall, yeah. I think all that director's movies. His name's Tarson. All of his movies are worth tracking down.
Well, I like that. It's very similar to my name.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks for joining along, guys. Take it easy.